Numbers chapter 3, the Levites to be priesthood. Now these are the records of the generations of Aaron and Moses in the day when the Lord spoke with Moses on Mount Sinai. So then they go through, this is more record keeping. So stick with me through this, I promise. They got the names of the sons of Aaron, the names of sons of Aaron's priests who were anointed, and who Aaron consecrated and ordained to minister in the priest office. But Nadab and Abihu died in the presence of the Lord when they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. They had no sons. Remember that? When they did that and they died? So Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests in the presence and under the supervision of Aaron their father. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Bring the tribe of Levi near and present them before Aaron the priest, so they may serve him. They shall carry out the duties for him and the whole congregation before the tent of meeting, doing the service of the tabernacle. They shall also take care of all the furnishings and utensils of the tent of meeting, and attend to the duties of the Israelites, doing the service of the tabernacle. You shall give the Levites to Aaron and his sons as servants and helpers. They are to be given wholly to him from among the Israelites. So you shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall observe and attend to their priesthood. But the laymen, right, the non-Levites who approaches the holy things, shall be put to death." Again, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Behold, I have taken the Levites from among the sons of Israel instead of and as a substitute for every firstborn, that is the first that opens the womb among the Israelites. So the Levites shall be mine. For all the firstborn are mine, and the firstborn, all the firstborn, like all the first fruits, all the first offerings, all the first things that we get are the Lord's. On the day that I killed all the firstborns in the land of Egypt, I consecrated for myself all the firstborns in Israel, both man and animal. They shall be mine, because I am the Lord." Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, "Number the sons of Levi by their father's household. By their families' clans you shall number every male from a month old and upward." So Moses numbered them just as he was commanded by the word mouth of the Lord. These are the three sons of Levi by their names, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These are the names of the two sons of Gershon by their families, Libni and Shimi, and the four sons. So it goes through the sons, and it says, 22 says, the males who were numbered, every male from a month and upward, totaled 7,500. The families of the Gershonites worked to camp behind the tabernacle on the west, and the leader of the fathers' households of the Gershonites were Elisab and the sons of Lael. The duties of the priest. Now the responsibility of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meeting involved the tabernacle and the tent and its covering and the curtain for the doorway of the tent of meeting, and the hangings of the courtyard, the curtain for the doorway of the courtyard, which is around the tabernacles, and the altar, its tent roofs, and all the service concerning them. Of Kohath were the families of the Amorites, and it goes through, these are the families of the Korhites. The males were numbered, every male from a month upward. They totaled 8,600 according to the duties of the sanctuary. The families of the sons of Kohath were to camp on the south side. And the leaders of the fathers' households of the families of the Kohathites were Elisaphan, the sons of Uzziel. Now their responsibilities involved the ark, the table on which the bread of the presence was placed, the lampstand, the altars, the utensils of the sanctuary with which the priests minister, and the curtain and all the service concerning them. Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, was the chief of the leaders of the Levites. He supervised those who performed the duties of the sanctuary. Of Merari were the families of the Mahalites and the Mushites. These are the families of Merari. And so it goes through the names of his household again. They were appointed. Responsibilities of the sons of Merari involved the frames of the tabernacle, its bars, its pillars, its sockets, or bases, and all the equipment, all the service concerning them, and the pillars around the courtyard, and their base and their pegs and their cords, the tent ropes. Now those to the camp before the tabernacle toward the east, before the tent of meeting toward the sunrise, were to be Moses and Aaron and his sons, performing the duties of the sanctuary for whatever was required of the Israelites, and the laymen who approached the sanctuary were to be put to death. All the men of the Levites whom Moses and Aaron numbered at the command of the Lord by their families, every male from a month old and upward, 22,000. Just a side note here, the kids, my own kids in my household and I, we're going to actually go to, there's a church here that has a whole like mock setup of this Old Testament setting of the tabernacle and that. So I'm very excited to go see it. But we did a couple of YouTube videos. There's a couple of videos if you just Google on YouTube, like the tabernacle and what it looks like. They'll do like a whole computer generated version of it. It's very interesting. And then we watched how it relates to Christ. And so to explain how every little piece was significant to Jesus. I thought that was very interesting. So if you want to expand your knowledge a little bit of what we're reading, because you read about the tents and the ropes and you're like, okay, maybe it doesn't make sense, because it didn't to me at all. And then we started watching that video and I'm like, oh, I would have never pictured it like that. Or, oh, that's why they talked about the fine woven cloth, and that's the altar, that's this, and it just makes a little bit more sense. Expand. So it took us like an hour to go through all the videos. It wasn't very long. They're just a few minutes each, but it just gives a little bit of representation of that. So if you want that, let me know. If you can't find it, I can send the one that we saw. It was just something interesting on a side note. Okay, firstborn redeemed. Then the Lord said to Moses, number every firstborn male of the Israelites from a month old and upward, and make a list of their names. You shall take the Levites from me instead of, and as a substitute for all the firstborn among the Israelites. I am the Lord, and you shall take the cattle of the Levites instead of, as a substitute for the firstborn among the cattle of the Israelites. So Moses numbered all the firstborn among the Israelites, just as the Lord had commanded, and all the firstborn males from a month old and upward were 22,273. 273 more than the Levites, it says. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites for me instead of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites instead of their cattle, and the Levites shall be mine. I am the Lord. For the ransom, redemption price of the 273 of the firstborn of the Israelites who outnumbered the Levites, you shall take 5 shekels apiece per head. You shall take them in terms of the sanctuary shekel. The shekel is 20 gerahs. And give the money, the ransom, the redemption price of those who outnumbered the Levites to Aaron and to his sons. So Moses took the ransom money from those who were in excess, beyond those ransomed by the Levites. From the firstborn of all the Israelites, he took the money in terms of the sanctuary shekel, 1,365. Then Moses gave the ransom money to Aaron and to his sons at the command of the Lord, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. So when you're reading this, can you imagine being a young Levite and reading through this, or you're reading it and you're like, and he hears, I don't have to go to war. Like, all I got to do is go serve in the sanctuary. How awesome. But God was very specific about how he wanted it carried, how he wanted to transport. They had to take that and set it up every single time wherever they decided to move. So it wasn't as easy as they thought. Serving in God's house is an honor. The Levites' work, it wasn't flashy, but it was honorable because they were doing what God commanded them to do. It wasn't flashy. They weren't out fighting and defending their people. No, they were just transporting, setting back up, taking down, doing that like over and over, that mundane task. Like, your job may not be flashy. You may just be a stay-at-home mom, just be a worker in an office, just be a worker in a factory. I don't know. It doesn't seem very flashy, but every work that God has us do is important. And then as we continue reading, Jesus is going to be our ultimate high priest, right? This is the foreshadowing of the Levites. So, all right, this is your daily Bible chapter, reading God's Word Monday through Friday. See you tomorrow.